Okay, welcome to the coolest leg of the remote development podcast, which is the Web IDE side of it. And we're going to be IPMing in just a bit. But first, some updates. Uh, um, my main priority is Extension Marketplace. We made a lot of progress with having the spike finished, and so all those issues are ready to go. So I'm ready to pick them up and get them done. And having some good interactions and some reviews. Enrique opened a review because he's working on the cross origin security thing. Um, but it sounds like we have an opportunity to collaborate because one of the approaches is not going to work out in the meantime because of some security issues. So, uh, yeah, we're just plugging away at that stuff. What's going on in Web ID land for you, Cindy?
Not much. I've just been working on the setting sync portion of Extensions Marketplace. So some updates. We rolled out the flag. I've monitored dashboards. Looking good so far. So I think like we can proceed with the rest of the cleanup issues. I did put up a fix for this one bug I discovered yesterday, where we were referencing the wrong variable. And so I think Paul, you're aware of that. You've been
Mhm.
tagged as a reviewer. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Isn't it so silly?
I
Non-typed
know.
non-typed languages are just this
I
so
know.
it's so silly.
It's so silly, but
Yeah,
hey, could be worse.
this is true. But I really appreciate your thoughtfulness of not breaking stuff that's live in the wild right now. So the fact that we even have the mechanics to control that so we can not make breaking changes is really exciting. So yeah, thanks for catching that and for fixing it, being thoughtful of the existing capability. Um,
Likewise, thanks for your
cool.
suggestion.
Well, let's flip gears into work that's prioritized and unweighed. And I dropped all the extension marketplace stuff into there. Um, so there might be a lot. Let me let my um let me let my little pooch in. Uh, I'll be right back. Just a second.
I'll take that chance to grab a drink as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay. Now we did tackle this one in the async retro
Yeah,
or the async
so
IPM. What's the
that's right. So there's like three originally. I after the poll results, I've already set the weight for two of them. This one, I think there's some pending conversation. Enrique set this as a three. I think we both set this as a two. So just awaiting kind of his thoughts um,
okay?
on this one. Yeah, I don't know if you want to proceed with like weighing it since we have IPM here, but I understand that we also have a lot to cover for
Okay.
the admin stuff. So
Yeah, let's go from sync IPM. Cindy initiated the async weighing protocol, uh, which gathered weights of two from all around. Oh, Maple, chill out. I know you like being petted. I know. Except from one counter cultural, I can't think of the right word, vote, a three from Enrique. All right, Enrique, what gives? Okay, I'm just gonna ominously let him start the thread there. Um, okay, action. Uh, do you think a three is more appropriate? And they're from the Slack too, and then maybe Cindy, can we post the Slack
yeah,
discussion?
yeah, He explained his reasoning in the Slack discussion, so I'll just update
Okay.
this thread. Mhm.
All right. Cool. Okay. Create skeleton. Yeah. So these are extension marketplace stuff. Standardize. Okay. I like to start with this one. I don't know what order these things end up in. Go ahead and start with this one though. So this is standardizing the extension marketplace terminology. We started calling this extensions gallery because VS Code calls it extensions gallery in like a couple of its settings. But since then, product and the technical writing team and everybody else is like, this is called the extensions marketplace. So we have some code files that are calling things extensions gallery. And we basically, I think, just want to harmonize all of that naming from the code side. Um, that's the scope of it. Do you feel like we're able to weigh it?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go weighing it. And 3, 2, 1. Yes. All right. Me and Cindy are on point. So we'll set the weight here of a 1. Cool. All right, and we'll move on. Okay. Create. Let's look at this one. So some of these issues have a bit of meat to it, but this one is just about there is the database side of it, and then just creating the placeholder UI for it. So we want to add the DB migration, and we want to set up some of the controller stuff. And all of it is spawning off of the changes that were needed in the spike. So I think it's mostly backend heavy, but it's kind of just scaffolding from the backend and the front end, the extensions marketplace settings feature. Do you feel like there's enough information here to weigh it? Yeah.
I have
Are we
one
weighing it,
more.
Ade? You think it's a
No,
1?
not with wait. Yes, make every no, actually make it a 0. And then let's take it from that's because I trust this team so much, you know. Um, more general question, stepping back. So Michelle and I already had a conversation with Mark, and this is his current top priority in terms of the spike and working with you to arrive at like a design solution.
Mhm.
My question is how much of this is likely to change depending on the outcome of that design exercise? Because
That's a
everything is
great
on the
question.
table from like
Um,
their perspective.
yeah, that's a great question. And I think for this one, it's very, very unlikely anything would change. So this is all the back end side that unless we're just radically, radically changing our idea of extension marketplace, I don't see changing, which I don't see happening because we're already, I don't think we're there. So for this issue, not yet.
Okay. Let's just keep that in mind with like maybe some of the
Yeah.
other issues that we're scheduling.
Yeah, good question. Cindy, do you feel like there's enough information here to weigh
I
it?
think so.
I think there's going to be multiple MRs
Hmm.
going on here. Definitely like all the database migration to one set.
Yep.
There's a thread here and stuff. So, okay, let's weigh it. And 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Uh,
All right. This is the first
I,
time we've disagreed in a while.
you know what? I was
Are
thinking
you
of a
sure we
3
want to
as
go
well.
down? Are we going to start disagreeing now?
I was thinking either a 2 or 3, just because there's a migration, like a database
Mhm.
migration component to that. So I'm okay with a 3.
Yeah, I think I see easily like what I would say 3 weighted MRs that could come out of this. So that's kind of where I was coming from. I think I'm leaning a little heavier just to it. I think because the requirements are there's a lot more of a list here too, even just like deciphering it. Um,
Hmm.
but on the other hand, is a lot of it's already kind of implemented.
Yeah,
So that's
true.
not. At the same time, too, the database approach that I originally used, Luke was like, let's not do this and let's do a different approach. I was like, okay, I think some of it we're gonna have to figure out. The database migration alone, just because we're touching the application settings table, that
Right.
could end up stretching out because of all the discussion that we would end up having with a database reviewer. Like, are we doing this the right way? And are there other
Hmm.
approaches we can do? So I don't know.
Fair.
What do you think? Don't let me sway you though.
No, I think a 3 is really fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go ahead from Sync IPM. Um, um, we were tottering between a 2 and a 3. However, 3 prevailed because the DB migration um, could contain a bit of discussion since it touches the heavily trafficked. That's not how you spell a word. I don't think that's what I want to say either. Uh, application settings table. Okay. Okay. Cool. So let's weigh it at 3.
Yep.
3. Okay. Great. This is the one that maybe we don't want to weigh yet until we actually have designs.
Hmm.
Or what do you think of that, Ade? Like this is just fleshing out the UI. Maybe we don't want to
Yeah.
weigh it yet.
Yeah, I would say let's speak
Okay.
with Mark first.
From Sync IPM, let's remove the refined here since the designs have not been finalized.
Yep.
Unlabel, refined. Yes.
Are you already in touch with Mark, maybe? We just
He
had the
reached
meeting.
out, yeah, he reached out to me that he was kind of looking at it. Some of his questions were just understanding more on the context of it, how it relates to workspaces and stuff. So I was able to clarify, but I haven't really gotten direct feedback from him yet.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh this thing. Why are you still showing up? Oh, because I'm only supposed to look for refined labels. But it shouldn't be here if it's not. Oh, if it's not refined, then I guess we don't want to prioritize it. Did we do that? So we are going to we're going to put it in unprioritized world, right? Is that right? Okay. Okay. Update Web ID settings to use the admin settings. Um, so we want to remove the hard-coded OpenVSX settings, update the extensions metadata to validate to read from the admin settings. Yes, and allow this to be nil everywhere in some cases because and the admin settings might not have it set. Yes. It's blocked by so I wanted while we're here, if we could take a quick pause on this road trip um pull over at the scenic view. Um so I created this issue to capture we do not want to do this until
Hmm.
we do this. And this is
Yeah.
a non-merge request requiring task. This is once the code is there, we're going to create, there's an issue, there's like a change request, there's like a configuration request, but it's basically there's a process at GitLab where someone that has admin privileges to all of our instances needs to do something in the admin UI. And that's what this issue is all about. Does that make sense? So yeah, so that's why that's blocking here. I just wanted to um, clarify that. And I didn't know how we felt about like just creating issues that aren't expected to have merge requests. I've added a note here that this is probably not going to require merge requests. This is just an admin task kind of thing. Um, I think it's cool and helpful, especially being able to label the blocking nature of some of the stuff. Did, what did you think, Cindy? Do you think that's helpful or not helpful?
I think this is great because it like highlights like what needs to be done, but also worry that there's also another issue, I guess, to roll out the feature flag. And I think like for example, the first depending on who gets picked first, I think the first point might be missed.
Hmm.
So, what do you think of like combining it together? That way it's more streamlined. But then again, I think like this is just the usual template that chatbot, is that what it's called? Chat ops uses. So it might be a bit hard to kind of pick out like the
Hmm.
actual requirements that was outlined in the other ticket.
Yeah. These 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 feature flag issues are funny because honestly, I don't think of them as issues. Like they just feel like just process metadata
Yeah.
stuff that we like to handle when it comes to just managing these feature flags specifically. But because yeah, we're gonna have to do a process where we enable it on .com and dev and stuff, but we don't remove it. And so these issues are supposed to stay alive until we remove
Mm,
the feature flag is how I've always interpreted it. But I
right.
know that there was one thread that Ade and I were having um we were having a theological debate on the different interpretations facing feature flag issues.
Right.
But I feel like the scope of these issues is just like the purpose of them is not work item as much as like a run book of like every time we have a feature flag, we gotta just make sure we do these checks. I almost like
Mhm.
I prefer creating other issues that we need for our own development that just reference this one of like, okay, and then once
Got
we
it.
remove it, we can finally remove this
Got it.
weird things. I don't know.
So I guess like the step is then to enable the flag first, right? But not have it
Yeah.
enabled by default. And
Yep.
then,
Yep. So that's what I highlight here too in the acceptance criteria is like
right,
when we do this, we want to update this on .com staging and dev, but not enabled by default yet.
right.
And we
So we'll still follow that like step where like we do it but in non-production environments first, and then we toggle the admin settings for those environments.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe it
are
helps
there,
to go ahead.
sorry, one last question. Are there references somewhere on like how we can get access to GitLab to like enable these settings as an admin?
Have you been able to so enable feature flags or doing the UI, the admin UI?
The admin UI stuff,
We won't get access for it. There is um
like a request sort of thing, like an access
yeah,
request.
there is a process for it.
Okay,
Ask your manager. Your manager usually knows.
got it. So this is
Now,
Ade's
why am I
ticket.
in it? Why am I in it?
I'm
What is
joking.
the question?
Do you know offhand the process for like it's in the handbook somewhere, but for do you know what's called when we need to make a change on .com like through the admin UI? Are you familiar with that process at all? Okay, it exists. We'll find it. All right. From from Sync IPM. Okay. Why is it not giving me my name? Did I spell it wrong? I did. Ah, I can't even.
Ah,
Ah.
no fuzzy search.
Spelled your own name wrong. Wow.
um,
Your kids needed to have been here for this.
oh man. All right. What's the process called? Uh, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay.
What's what process called? You have to describe it. If you come
I
back to
know
this
it's in my
next week,
head. It's
how
in
do
my
we
head.
know?
You know, the one for admins of .com to do something in the admin UI. We had to do it for SourceGraph. You remember, Paul? Yeah, yeah. It'll come up.
Okay.
Okay. And so wait, where were we at? We were here. This
Mhm.
is just talking about weighing the um updating mainly this bit, which
Mhm.
is has hard coded these values. We're going to probably introduce a new module that actually pulls these from the application settings table. Um, that's about it. Do you have any questions or thoughts before attempting to weigh this? Or do you feel like
Um, so what happens if, sorry, when we're doing the migration, the default value of that new field is null. And so if we're removing all the hard-coded settings, like what happens to mark to the marketplace, I guess like values if it's enabled and that setting is null. Oh, sorry, or are we not using that yet? Like we're
so
still
this
using
one is
it.
about we're going to use it now.
Right.
So you're asking a good question. So my point with this issue was, but nothing should change on devstaging.com because we're going to set it to use
Right.
OpenDSX.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
but this will affect um, self-managed customers that have enabled this flag already because they haven't done that. But at the same time, I feel like, okay, you're enabling feature flags that are work in progress feature flags. So maybe this is more on you.
Okay. Okay.
Do you I just got to knock at the door. Let me pause for just a quick second. Okay. Um yeah, before we do this, I think this is worth discussing of and Ade, if you have any thoughts about it, but it's possible that we have self-managed customers that have enabled the extension marketplace feature flag. Are we okay with, temporarily breaking their experience because they need to now actually configure it in the UI once we release that? Like an admin actually needs to configure it.
By configure, you mean like what about the defaults, I guess? Like it by default is for OpenVSX, right?
Well, I mean, is that do we want to set that as a default? Is that the default GitLab experience to someone that's never used GitLab before? Like, I would think the default is actually unset, like it's not enabled. Does that make sense?
Uh, I wait, so two things. So the default for our extensions marketplace is that it's not enabled, right? I see.
So,
That'd
but
be an
right,
interesting. Sorry.
but we have customers that would have enabled the feature flag, and that's just gives them this current experience where it's all open VSX, no one's actually configuring anything, and they technically can manage it off by turning off the feature flag. Um,
Mhm. I
I
would probably, sorry, please finish.
Oh no, I'm my stance is in the I feel like in the past, whenever customers have manually enabled feature flags, you're kind of delving in an experimental feature that's not going to be totally fleshed out once we remove the feature flag. So I feel like we are at liberty to break it a little bit, but it's not going to break it. They just need to read the docs and go configure it in the admin UI.
Uh, I guess I'll probably say two things, and then we should also loop in Michelle into the conversation. I'd say if there is a way to take the default experience that they have now, and then when we remove it, that becomes the like their current configuration just for those who have already enabled it. All right, if there's a way to do that pre-population or whatever we need to do, I'd say let's take that route, possibly, um, rather than taking away a feature that they enabled themselves. Because if someone on self-managed really went through and enabled the feature flag for extensions marketplace,
Yeah.
they actually needed it to some degree,
Hmm.
I would say. Right. So rather than taking it away and then pointing them to the documentation, I'd probably say we lock in the default as their new configuration for those who have enabled it, but also point them to the docs saying, hey, maybe it's an announcement. Hey, this is now just FYI, we've taken this feature flag away. These are the
Mm.
current default settings. Feel free to change it. But I'll be hesitant to like disable because we're essentially disabling the feature flag that they set on their self-managed instance, so to
Yep.
speak, even though we're simply just taking out the feature flag and locking in the configuration.
Yeah, that's a
Do
good
we have
point.
data on those who have enabled it? Is it possible? That's another
I
question.
think that's part of the service ping, I think includes feature flags that they've enabled. I don't know where service ping is like super visible or not. And but then you always have there's always an ongoing discussion of how representative is the service ping because we have a lot of customers that don't do the service ping.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a good point, and I do think that there's a mechanism that we can use. I think we can do a um, either an initializer or a database migration. So we can have it if the feature flag is on, we go ahead and set we'll seed the database when we do that migration. Um, I think we can do that. So I'm gonna have a note here, and I'll have to relook at that'll affect some earlier issues, but I think it's a good goal, and I think it's achievable. So yeah, let me just check that out from Sync IPM. Here. We want to avoid diminishing the experience of self-managed customers that have enabled the Web IDE extensions marketplace feature flag, which hard codes things to open PSX.
Otter, do we have idea as to how many of like how many customers we have currently that have enabled the Web IDE extensions marketplace flag, self-managed wise?
No, I
Just
can ask.
curious.
I can check with Michelle. Let's put a tag there as well, Paul,
Okay.
for Michelle to see. Like, can we get? Uh, uh, I'll
Just
say put a new
curious
line there
how,
for
yeah.
Michelle to see if we can get data on those who have enabled it on self-managed.
Something like that.
Because yeah, yeah.
So I want to clarify, we don't want enable true
Yeah, that is true.
to be the out of the box experience. Um, yeah, we're interested in what's the word I'm thinking of? In carrying over the current behavior of the flag. Okay. Question. How does this affect workspaces? Um, where's Michelle? Why did I spell? Okay.
Double L. Yeah.
All right, let's see everybody. Let's just get everybody in here. Yeah. Good
Oh,
Enrique. All right.
okay. Right.
Cool.
There's a question for Michelle actually. So the one question is, can we get data on those who have enabled uh, extension marketplace on uh, so managed
All right. Do we have data on customers that
customers that
have
have enabled the feature flag?
Yeah, feature flag. Let's get the actual name of the flag. Pretty sure it's Web IDE Extensions Marketplace. Yeah, there it is. I was just talking about it. Okay. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Um, so does that change the scope of this issue, you think, Cindy, or is that just a different requirement?
I think this change would affect self-managed though, right? So if we do want to address that self-managed issue.
But I almost wonder, like, is that a separate issue than this one? Like a blocker to this one? Because,
Hmm,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That is definitely blocking.
Could we still weigh this issue as it is?
I see. I see. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like I think, yeah, the acceptance criteria is pretty clear. Like assuming we like
Yeah,
the
let's
self-managed stuff is like handled in another issue before this, it should be good.
yeah. We want to protect the existing Web IDE extensions marketplace behavior. Come on. So please peruse. That's not how you spell it. Jeez Louise. Peruse this thread at your refined leisure. Okay, let's go ahead and
And
try.
what, sorry, one last thing, just so I'm like aligned on the order of stuff, right? So because this issue is blocked on enabling the flag, we would need to complete all the UI stuff first before the
Mm-hmm.
flag is enabled. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. All right, let's try to wait. In three, two, one. Okay, great. I got two. All right, we're good. We're ready to go. All right. I think I think we might be at time. Um uh yeah, I feel like we might be at time right now. Is it up to 40 or is it to fit? Do we have to 50?
Um, it
Like
depends.
40. 40
It's
is on the calendar, but
it's it's 40 because I leave 5 minutes before the actual meeting so
Nice.
that people can catch their breaths before other meetings that they have.
That's
Um,
good.
if you decide that you don't need to catch your breath before your next meeting or next appointment, then that's fine.
Well, game. No, I think I'm good, but I also like I don't know, we wait a bunch. I think I don't think it's urgent for us to do any more weighing of issues. This wait is coming. Um, uh, I don't think these ones are urgent, so I don't want to just keep us. Let's try to stick to the end
Okay.
time. Okay.
The one thing I would say we do, I'm not sure if that's done yet, Paul, is the milestones that we want to do these different ones in. Right now, I think they're mostly next 1 to 3
They are
releases.
all next 1 to 3 releases.
So maybe that's a one-on-one thing between you and I to schedule it into all of the different milestones. Since we now have the weights and we have them refined, we can schedule
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Let's do it. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Was there 17.9 planning issue already made?
Yep.
Okay. Are we invited on the issue?
Yes. I mean, I don't invite anyone, but it's
I
usually
see.
like it's
I see.
public. Everyone can access it.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Hold on. Let me pull it out. Uh, Send it to the chat.
I'm having a party at my house, but it's open door, but I'm not inviting anyone. So you can
Oh,
just
wow.
come.
I can fly down. Yeah, so we already have quite a bit in 17.9 already, so I want to be mindful. But yeah, it's and I try not to, and anything new that we put now, I wouldn't consider like deliverable because we're refining it and scheduling it in the middle of the milestone.
Okay, cool. Oh, and
Yeah.
this one that's assigned to me is already done. So, uh, Yeah, it looks like it's just a matter of how much weight do we think we can pick up in this
Yeah.
milestone. Cool. That sounds great. I can go ahead and do that just
All right.
asynchronously and pull it in. So,
All
all
right
right.
then. Thank
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Adios.
Bye bye.
Yeah.